Hi, I'm Ricky Fort and welcome to the Real Estate 101 podcast. Join me as I lift the lid on the real estate industry and share some great stories from behind the scenes. Like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Season 2 Real Estate 101. I'm your host, Ricky Fort from Geelong Real Estate Co. Marie Breguet from Feed Digital, welcome.
Hello.
How exciting. Season 2.
Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. So, we'll cut the formalities. Obviously, maid of honour at the wedding and
Yes.
long-time friend of my wife, Georgie, but and doing your own good things in business.
Yeah.
Mate, keen to hear all about Feed Digital. So obviously we're a customer of yours. You've been pivotal in helping us get our business up and running and have a great online presence. We're the number one rated business on Google and stuff, and obviously all with your help. So yeah, keen to kind of talk about your business and why people should reach out and yeah.
Yeah. So Feed Digital is a digital marketing agency. We say we're a content marketing agency first because we're really strong in the belief of narrative. You can definitely put pretty pictures and things out there, but if you don't tell a good story or
Yep.
you don't communicate, I guess, the value and trust of your brand, no one really understands what you do. And that's where you build brand loyalty and repeat customers. So for us, we really start with the content first. And by content, I mean like the written kind of aspect of it. And then, we filter that through all the digital marketing channels we provide. So that goes from SEO to Facebook ads to Google ads to email marketing, from as little as put as much effort in the little things as small as like an email headline or a headline in AdWords to long form content like blogs, which we use for SEO. So, it's been a bit of a journey that we've evolved over time.
It's such a fast moving pace. Like I remember
Yeah.
that, I started my career at Bendigo Banking social
That's
media
right,
and
yeah.
like back then there was no qualifications or whatever. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that now because it's just everything that we were doing is not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, look.
It changes so quickly.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful. I guess my marketing journey, it probably started when I did my undergrad. Although I didn't do marketing, I did a double in PR and journalism.
Yep.
So I got a really strong introduction to the English language, how it's used, how you can use it to persuade people, how you create that story. I guess it gave me a really good depth of lexicon. Like I've got a great vocabulary for that type of stuff. So that was really a fundamental part of how I use marketing or, it's one of the channels I guess I use to tap into to actually do my job. But I got a really good foundation for that then. Then when I went back to do my master's in marketing, I kind of learnt more about the consumer behavior behind why people do things or the process between information search stage to consideration to purchase. So people move through these life cycles. I guess when you don't have the perhaps the education, formal education behind it, you don't understand those things. You kind of just go, "Oh, that was a really good post. I'll try and replicate that and do that again," instead of understanding, okay, what element of this actually performed well, and can I use it again in other marketing but a different way? So, I guess Feed kind of I was able to piece that all together because I had agency experience before I started Feed. So I worked for, I think I've told you this before, but I've worked for David Koch with KBB Digital. And we were a national agency. So we got lots of hands on different types of clients. And we were able to market them really effectively. I guess my favorite client that I worked with there would have been Akubra Hats. Yeah, so before we worked with them, they actually didn't sell online. So they were just retailers that you could go into through RM Williams or other, channels that they had and purchase their hats, but they didn't actually have a place where if you just knew the hat you wanted and the size you wanted, you couldn't actually go and just get it online and get it shipped to you.
Isn't that such a foreign concept now?
I know. And like back then, I even was a foreign concept. I was like, how are you guys not online? This is craziness. But we transformed them, I guess, digitally. We took a brand that had so much family history and, even the way they make the hats. It's a great story. And we were able to transform that to a digitize it, I guess, so that people all over Australia, because let's be honest, mostly it's rural people who are wearing the product, could actually just get online and purchase it without having to go to a major city or a retailer to go and get it. So, yeah, I had a lot of depth of clients. Another really big one that we worked with that we were responsible, I guess, for bringing into Australia was Haval Motors.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so when they came into Australia, they actually, met with us, and we were able to work with them on trying to make their car more Australian climate friendly.
Yep.
So we were, yeah, it was a bit of a challenge, but anyway, we were working with them on that, and actually, yeah, we're the first digital company to kind of bring them out in Australia, which was quite good. So the depth of clients that I was able to get through KBB as an agency, I then was able to take on when I left and started my own. So we bring, I guess, Feed brings big city agency experience to Geelong. Although most of our clients actually aren't in the Geelong vicinity, we do marketing for a lot of clients that are outside the region, national suppliers, some even that do some international sales. So yeah,
Being, I guess, do you consider, like, how are you getting your own customer acquisition? Is it through, like, do as I say, not as I do? Like, what do you
yeah, it's a funny one actually because Feed has never really marketed itself. I know that sounds so bizarre to say as a digital marketing agency, and I actually use it as a line when I do recruitment. I say we're the best kept secret because we actually don't market ourselves, and that sounds counterintuitive to what I'm saying as a marketing you know agency. But look, we do SEO, so we rank well for terms like digital marketing Geelong,
Yeah.
digital strategy Geelong, or content marketing Geelong. We have made sure that we rank for those terms. So
Yeah.
I guess not doing marketing is when I say that, or we haven't marketed ourselves, it probably isn't as true as it sounds. But and we do social media, and we're present there, so that's fine. But we haven't actually done any paid ads to try and get clients in. So a lot of our clients either come to us for a singular product. I need Facebook ads or Meta ads, or I need to be present on LinkedIn, or I need email help. And then we do that one service for them. There's a result. And then the client or ourselves will say, hey, that's really great. We've been able to help you in this one area. Can we help you in other areas? So often it'll be a client that perhaps will come to us for either Google ads or Facebook ads, Meta ads. And then we cross-sell them, I guess, the other product, and they end up staying. I've got clients that have been with us since we started, which is probably near on 6 years ago now. And we've been able to grow them as retainer clients over that time and handle pretty much all of their digital marketing. So,
So
yeah.
you find, like, the majority of your customers inbound to you? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
inbound. Yeah,
and just
absolutely.
word of mouth and
Yeah, mostly word of mouth, mostly through other clients. So I've got a couple of really key clients that we've just been able to achieve astronomical results for. So they are
they're
our
your biggest
biggest
advocate.
advocates, yeah,
Yeah.
for our business, which is much like yourself with your Google reviews, right?
Yeah.
You're creating an environment or a community where people speak well of you, right? Because you provide a good service. So then there's power in the numbers, right? So, yep, it's generally word of mouth, or people look us up online and they read our content and they're impressed that it's not a cookie cutter approach. We really talk the talk and we walk the walk. So it's easy for us to be able to, I guess, position ourselves with clients or prospective clients to actually then win work. And we're very personable. And to be honest, a lot of the time I talk clients out of things rather than into things. So someone will, prospective client will give me a call and say what their plan is. And I'll say, oh, geez, that's an ambitious target. Perhaps we could, compartmentalize that into sections and actually turn them over as we go, as opposed to taking on a large chunk, because I'm a small business owner too. I know that the financial pressure of taking on multiple things, in one go can actually really hurt.
Mm.
So I also don't want to put that burden on a client to think that they have to do all these things in one go. So we will suggest things to clients as we have, paid for our own service through results. We'll then say, hey, potentially, we can
Yeah.
target that other thing that you
With
wanted to target.
with like a new business, if people come to you with, which I'm hoping they do, because as I said, you've been instrumental in helping us do our thing. But if people come to you and they've got a limited budget, I guess you need to be realistic around what people can expect to achieve for how much they plan on
Absolutely.
spending. But I guess for a business with, say, a brand new website that they've just turned on, brand new Facebook, Instagram, whatever, with like essentially zero followers, depending
Mm,
on the type of product, obviously, where should they try and focus themselves? Do they try and do anything before they come to you, or is it better
mm.
to come with a clean slate? Is it
Yeah, look, a lot of customers or clients try their hand at social media. The problem with social media is the algorithm is complex, right? If you try a tactic that is, say, not above the line, like you just start following random people to gain followers because you've made up that multiple followers or a big following means good business.
Yeah.
Which
That's a massive
which is yeah, it's a
misconception.
massive misconception
Yeah.
that a lot of people, "Oh, I've got 20,000 followers." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're getting less than like 100 likes on an
Yeah.
Instagram
Point
post. That's
zero
not."
something
Yeah,
percent.
that is not a good outcome. So a lot of the time we actually have to undo work from,
Yeah.
prospective clients, and we spend, maybe the first month or couple of months actually, yeah, undoing it essentially. But the algorithm for social media, it is, really complex, right? So if you're just pumping out content because you think, okay, I've got to get content out there. Everyone's telling me content's king, content's queen, whatever the new catchphrase is for that. What ends up happening is if it's not resonating with your audience, you're actually not getting any further reach, and you'll
Yeah.
notice that in your stats. You'll see your organic reach or things like that. They won't go up, right? They'll be going they'll be either stagnating or declining.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, some business owners think, oh, I'll produce more content because
Yeah.
that's what people want, right? I'm obviously not producing enough. It 100% quality over quantity. You want to be able to communicate either a pain point or address a benefit or talk to the customer about what your product or service truly actually does for them.
Yeah.
And once you start to become more personalized, or I guess, speaking to a one-to-one market instead of a one-to-many market, you start to see more results. Now, that may mean you have to get really niche in your following,
Yeah, you've spoken a lot to me about like an avatar, like who's your specific customer,
Yeah.
and yeah, trying to speak to them because I think when you're running your business and you got your hand on so many different um levers, I guess you're trying to just show up and be everywhere, but sometimes like just creating content for the sake of it is essentially doing more harm than
And
good.
it's time consuming,
Yeah,
right? Business owners, number one, like, comment I get from them is, I don't have the time to do
time.
my social media. Well, you do.
Yeah,
You just don't have to produce so much of it.
yeah,
Like, it's just not, it's not how it works. You,
yeah,
you want to be doing quality. And yes, look, stories and reels and popping things up and being present is great. You want to have brand recognition. I fully support that strategy. I'm not saying, post once a week is enough to communicate with your audience. I'm
yeah,
just saying, don't be posting 7 times a week if you're not actually communicating any
yeah.
value.
I think
Yeah.
like, and that was one of the things with doing the podcast that I spoke to you about was that, I guess I wanted every time I create a piece of content, I'm trying to focus on like whether it's right or wrong. Maybe you'll pull me
Mm.
up. We haven't spoken about it for a while, but like I'm trying to like hit every or try and make my content go as far as I can. So
Yeah,
obviously the
absolutely.
podcast is long form content, goes on the website as a blog, goes on Spotify, YouTube, like all
Yeah.
those ones. We're using the transcript, putting it on the website,
Mhm.
and then obviously cutting it down, making reels, and that goes across all the different platforms.
Yeah.
We're trying to create like a collage of all the guests, which you would have seen.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like leveraging other people's audiences slightly, like that feels a bit cringe, but
You got to do what
I
you got
guess
to
what we're
do.
trying to do,
Yeah.
yeah, is just be across all the different, yeah, trying to make that bang for buck go as far as we can.
Absolutely. And that's working smarter, not harder, essentially, because it's one piece of
Well,
content, right?
essentially, it's lazy, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's trying to make the most out of it and stretch it as far as we can without it feeling repetitive and
Yeah, and I guess, like, for a small business, this probably isn't achievable for most, right? Doing a podcast and putting all the effort into
shout out
this.
to Torch
Yeah,
because I think it's more achievable than you think. It's not. I obviously won't go into the costing and all that sort of stuff, but like the way we do it, obviously, is we
yeah.
package it all up. Like we do a day of shooting, we jam as many in as we can. Obviously, yeah, and then that way, obviously, it brings the cost of production down and
Yeah,
that sort of
correct.
stuff. But these guys like are amazing. They can do like they create all the reels, the short form content, everything like that. They can do everything from like loading it up on your YouTube, and I'm sure you guys can do the same. And
Mm.
like probably a good opportunity to put you two together, actually, just quietly. But anyway, so
We'll get you some more clients.
but yeah,
Um,
exactly. But I think it's just going back to that, trying to be smart with your time.
and look, so for small business owners that either don't think that podcasting is a suitable option for them or the ones that do, you can even do this with blogging, right?
Yep.
Come up with an idea or write a blog about a comparison to your product, right? It can be long form. Generally, we recommend somewhere between 600 and 800 words, but if you can stretch it out to about 1,200, that's ideal. You can create 3 or 4 social media posts from that one piece of content,
Yep.
right? So you're pointing people back to that content. They're able to read whatever they need to read from it. It's got headings. It's all good. You might create an email that month. You use that blog and the email, and then every 6 months you might refer back to that content. So all of a sudden, you've created 6 or 7 pieces of content from one blog,
Yep.
right? That's smart marketing. That's not hard marketing. And there are different aspects that you can use across multiple other channels that are a similar kind of setup. So I guess for small businesses, the real important thing is just lay out a plan. So we talk about 90-day strategies at our work. That's what we try and kind of keep to. So it is about a 3-month plan, but we call it a 90-day strategy where we go, okay, what's achievable here and what can we do in this time? And we often have to forecast with our clients because they might have birthdays or sales periods or, depending on whether they're e-commerce or service-based, whatever it might be. So we have to understand what is coming up in that calendar because it will impact what we do today.
Yep.
And a lot of businesses just don't have the ability to see that far in advance.
Yep. Do you feel like a lot of customers are just really impatient too with what like their expectations of what they're seeing? So it's like I spent $1,000 on Google ads or
Yeah.
Facebook ads or whatever, and we didn't see any results, and they just want to like can it straight
Yeah.
away. Is
Absolutely. And look, I'll be the first to say it's not a set up and just you get results straight away type of game.
Yeah.
Often when you're paying for ads, you've really got to figure out who your audience is, what they're typing into Google or how you can influence them in meta ads through your ad copy to get a result, right? And as I mentioned before, people move through or the purchase life cycle is really 3 stages. It's awareness, consideration, and purchase or decision. Um, People are at different stages and sometimes they can go from information to consideration and then they go back to information because they're not sure they've got the product that they want. And then they move straight to decision because, yep, okay, I named it to 3 and now I'm purchasing, right?
Yeah.
That can happen in a week, a month, a year, a minute.
I guess it's no different
know?
to real estate, really. Like some
Yeah.
people buy the first house they look at, some people take 3 years. Like
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like it's not really an unrealistic expectation. And I think I try and set that quite well, like early on in the conversation, but I think I do a good job of trying to manage that with clients and probably why we're able to keep them through that little, I guess, volatile stage at the start. Because when I haven't worked with a client, I also don't know, how their marketing is going to go. I need to really understand the brand. I need to do my research. We need to get our hands dirty. And then we start to kind of refine that process over time. So, yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one with expectations, but I think if you go in with an open mind and know that like we're trying to get the best outcome for you, we are literally spending often more hours than we
charge.
charge for to try and get the best outcome. So if we didn't get it in that month, it's not because we didn't try to get the
Yeah.
outcome. It's often because of other factors. I mean, January was a bit of a difficult month this year, especially for our fashion-based e-com clients. I feel like December was a really good month and a lot of people spent early, right? And in Australia, we're moving more towards that Black Friday kind of period where people are spending big in that period and buying all their Christmas presents and stuff then. December is still a bit of a catch-up where people potentially, have left it to the last minute and they think, oh,
It's all the husbands.
it's all that buying.
Yeah.
Or, you got a present and you're like, oh, that's not great from Temu or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. And you're like, oh, just have to go back to good
Yeah.
old Target or something like that and get a toy for the kids. But so December's a bit of a tricky one as well. Like we're seeing that not necessarily be year on year growth. It's kind of probably stagnant. But January, we saw a bit of a dip for clients. And I think that's just because spending, is tight. But February, basically from day one, just seemed to be much better. And so, we're back to getting 3 to 5 ROAS or return on ad spend for clients across our meta ads for sure.
That's a good
So,
acronym. I like that. Keep
yeah,
those coming.
yeah, ROAS. Yeah. That's a standard term in our industry. But yeah, there you go. You can have that one for free.
Going back to what I said before about like so much of your job, like mine, is education, and it can be really, you're not necessarily remunerated for that. Like it takes a really long time to get people up to speed. Like I know even with early renditions of like our business, it took I had a background in social media. I thought Sammy knew what I was doing. I knew I didn't have the time, hence like bringing you in. But yeah, it took so long to define what we wanted to do. And then obviously now with our Geelong B&B Go business, like, we've got to let you know, by the way, that's firing. Like
Yeah, I
what we're
saw that
doing, yeah,
today.
what we're
Yeah.
doing with that's really working. I know that the rest of the team's wrapped with that, but yeah, just probably being patient. Um, I guess going now to flip it a little bit, talk about like new businesses. I guess what we're seeing a lot's reels and short form content and stuff like that, which is great. I guess how do you feel you can help like a small business? Obviously, there's some girls that I know that are doing really good things, like Bet Connolly from Botanicals by Lux, and that she's got a.
Mm.
They're all businesses that are really like it's of them, a lot of like chat to camera and things like that. And for people that I guess struggle to create that kind of content, like I'm not that guy. The only way I can create this type of content is through long form. We cut it down, like 'cause I hate talking to camera. It's not my thing, you know.
Sure.
And you'll notice I don't even but well, I'm not even in like property videos and that anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think our industry's evolved, like hopefully a little bit, started to
Yeah.
evolve, and it's not so much about the agent walking through, touching the bench tops and that sort of stuff anymore. And like it's yeah, we're trying to get away from that, I guess. But um, I guess words of encouragement for people in that sort of business that you think,
Yeah, look, it is difficult when you are the brand. When you are the brand, people expect to see you, and I've definitely got a client who I've had to nurture through that process. You know,
what sort of product?
well, they're a baby aid.
Yep.
I won't name the name in case they don't want to be named, but
Yeah.
oh no, I will because I love it. It's Mister. So like Demi is a good friend of mine. We
Yep.
worked in marketing together previously for an organization, and then when she started her own, much like you, she said, "Oh, I've got a marketing background, but I'm not particularly sure how to market this product." So we developed a go-to-market strategy, and I think from day one, I was like, "Demi, get behind a camera."
Yep.
Just get in front of your content, right? The brand wants to see you. It's you.
Yep.
Okay. It's you and your business partner, Mel. Um, and I think she fought for the first year and a bit, just, or maybe even longer, might have been 2 years, to really produce any content herself. She just, like you said, I think you've said the word a few times, but she cringed at it. She
Yeah.
just, her body did not want to
Yeah.
participate. And it took time to encourage her to do that. But I think now that they've got such a great following, they're obviously doing their own podcast too. And they've got such a great product, and they're helping thousands of Australian parents,
Yeah. I think it's
breastfeed.
probably
But
getting past the fear of
yeah,
your audience. As you said before, you don't need a huge audience
no,
to speak to your customers. Like so, yeah, I stopped worrying about like
yeah,
what other people
people
think of me,
think,
because they're
yeah,
not like the people who think whatever, that they're not my particular customer.
yeah,
The people that enjoy my content and know me, refer me, like me, trust
yeah,
me, whatever. That's the customer. And
yeah,
going back to Demi, I guess, like, you know, you just forget about the people that don't
yeah,
resonate with it and you focus on the
absolutely.
people that do.
Yeah, that's it. And look, that we talk about, I guess, three main areas for a brand. So we say, okay, you got to build trust with your audience. Okay, now that doesn't mean you have to be in front of the camera, offering a discount or something to try and get them over the line. In fact, we often like discourage that. We say, okay, well, how do we build trust? Can we take it by saying, you've got hundreds of 5-star reviews in Geelong? Can we take it from other parts? It could be showing them in the community. It doesn't have to be a face to camera experience. It can be them actually doing something like an action shot, to show what the client or customer does in the community. Once you've kind of established trust, you want to build value, right? You want to create, I guess, a value economy where you're either giving something to your audience or your product is giving benefits or something. So again, through social media, it doesn't mean you have to be creating a podcast and putting that out for your audience to digest. It can be as simple as, okay, what does my product actually do? Okay, what's the value I create in this product? Or do I give people 5 minutes back? Does my product give people 5 minutes of their day back? Well, that for some people that's imperative, right? So once you ticked trust, you ticked value, then you promote. Then you say, okay, well, here's my product. And often people will go, yep, I see it. Yep, I see it. Yep, I'll buy it. So it's not necessarily, again, about being the face of the brand. For some people, it absolutely is, but for others, it doesn't have to be. So I guess my advice to small business owners is don't think you have to be everything to everyone, right? You can absolutely hide behind, I guess, the brand a little bit and put the brand out there. Maybe the brand's a bit playful, but you're not. There's different ways of, I guess, cultivating that message It's just empowering people, I think, to, yeah, be just comfortable with what they're comfortable with.
Going back to the avatar thing, do you encourage people to kind of um, envision what they want people to say about their brand? So for us, you know what I mean?
Mm,
We just want to be known, liked, and trusted, seen as part of like um, breaking away from the stigma, you know, the good reviews, the stuff we do in the community, things like that. We've got a pretty simple, not trying to be everything to everyone, but just
absolutely.
if we know we know ourselves and we know our target customer. And I
Yep.
think like we're coming into our third year of business, and that takes a while. You know what I mean? Especially for
Definitely
me, like
does.
I work somewhere else, and you get like
Mm.
painted with one brush. You're supposed to be like this, and you go somewhere else, and it takes a while to find yourself. And when you do, I think that's when.
Yeah, I think every brand goes through iterations, right? Because, like, at the start, you're kind of just trying to juggle like 10 balls in the air because
Yep.
you're like, oh my God, I've got to get the brand out there. I've got to do this. I am delivering the service or I am packing the product.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing so many different things that people often forget, well, who am I actually talking to? So, you mentioned something before there, which is really key to what we say. Who are you talking to? Because you can't talk to everyone,
Yep.
right? If you talk to everyone, it's like a scattergun approach. No one's going to resonate with the brand because no one knows who the brand is.
Yep.
So think of the brand like a person or an avatar. And then you start to narrow that message in. And yes, your audience becomes smaller, right? But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I
You're
think
getting just
people,
more penetration. Like
yeah, absolutely.
Jess in our office, like she does really well in certain suburbs and that sort of thing. And she talks about the age of her customer, like,
Yeah.
you know, where they work, where they eat, where they
Yep.
like she thinks that she knows that customer so well.
And I bet you no one will be able to surpass her in those areas because of that knowledge, right? So if she knows where her customer is, she can be present there. She can take out advertising in the places they eat. She can provide sponsorship to the local community or
Yeah.
clubs that she's a part of,
Yeah.
right? So she's ever present. She's creating a brand ecosystem, I guess, of goodwill,
Yeah.
right?
Like you said, it was just narrowing down, like, where do we want, and for a real estate agent, it can just be geographical, right? Like,
Yeah.
rather than trying to service everywhere and be everyone to everything in every price point, not just
Mm.
geographical, but selling a $3 million thing on the waterfront or selling a $250,000 like
Unit.
unit
Yeah.
in Cryo. Like, it's just trying to find where you fit and
Yeah.
then realizing it's okay that you don't have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, that's it. And I think again, if you've got strong brand values or you've got a strong ethos, which you guys have absolutely nailed, like it's great to see. People will come to you because of that, regardless of whether they're selling a $3 million house or a $250,000 unit. You know, it's I want to work with someone who's going to treat me like they treat their company, their staff, the culture that they've created. They want to be a part of that,
Yeah.
right? As people, as like our consumer behavior, we have a pack mentality. You know, we want to be a part of something.
Mm.
So often website copy, that's why you say we're your local agent or we're, part of the community or we're experts in this because it's creating a system where, it's a grouping of people that, yeah, we're like each other.
Yeah.
I do the same thing like you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's an interesting.
Talk about, obviously, I've spoken about my journey a fair bit, leaving like the safety of a full-time contract behind and in search of something more. Obviously, it takes guts to go for it. And, you know, as you said, you're coming up to, did you say 6 years in business
Yes,
now?
nearly 6 years.
So how did,
Yeah.
yeah, what's the moment when you're like, I've got to go?
Yeah. Well, for me, I was about to have my first child, so I was heavily pregnant. Work. I was traveling between, I think, Geelong and Sydney on a semi-regular basis. So I was, getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I was on a plane at 6 in Sydney by 6 to the office in Surrey
Sydney by
Hills.
six?
Oh, sorry,
I was like,
sorry,
Jesus.
on
But
the plane by 6 in
yeah,
Sydney by about 7,
yeah.
and then in traffic for an hour,
Mm,
or 2 hours before I got to the
yeah.
Surrey Hill
This is
office.
getting old.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I just said, "Oh, I won't be able to do this when I've got a daughter," because I knew I was having a daughter, and they're like, "No, no, no, you'll just be able to come back and forwards." And I was like, "No, I don't feel comfortable kind of leaving my child in another state and then
Mm.
going for a day." I mean, it was my first child. I was feeling a bit
Now
like
you're
that.
like, get me out of here.
Yeah, now I'm like, "Sydney, absolutely." No, it was because it was, it's a long day. Then you don't get home till like
Yeah.
8 o'clock. So you're up at 4:30, you're back at 8, it's a long day. And I was doing that semi-regularly. So, I think I had mentioned to my boss, yeah, I'm not keen on doing that anymore. And slowly they'd kind of transitioned me to like a role that wasn't particularly like a role I wanted to continue doing. And I just said to my boss, I think, once I go on mat leave, I think that'll be it for me. And to be honest, I didn't really have too much of an idea as to whether I was going to start feed then or later. And I've really got to give credit, I guess, to my husband on that one because he is my biggest supporter. And he is the push behind my drive, I guess, because I would say I'm a dog without a bone, with a bone. Like I'm relentless when there's something that I want to achieve. I will spend hours, trying to figure out a way I can achieve that task. But I guess with feed, I lacked the confidence to start it without him kind of giving me the encouragement. It's like, you've done marketing for the last like 7 or 8 years.
He's a very practical
Yes,
man.
he is. He is. He's like, do
Are
it.
you stupid?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was like, you got to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I literally made the decision to leave my old work. And I think within a couple of months, because I took off about 8 weeks or something. So by the time literally my daughter was about to be born, clients from my previous work had kind of contacted me to do work because wasn't at my old work anymore. And I called my old boss and my boss was like, you know what, if they want to come to you, that's fine. No hard feelings. We didn't leave on bad terms.
Geez, this is a bit different to...
Yeah, it is a bit different to real estate and other industries. But my boss was really good. Yeah, he was a really good mentor and I didn't leave on bad terms. And he was happy for me to be going and starting something myself. So I actually did some work for him through feed anyway as well. But so I was actually, I'd said yes to some of these clients to do some work and I was literally going in to meet one the day I went into labor. So I was going in and
You're a weapon.
yeah, I know. How's this? I was
You're
like
a weapon.
preparing for the meeting in the morning. I was like 8 a.m. and my water was broke. And I was like, I have to call
Nope.
this client. Yeah, I'm not coming in. Literally, first call was my husband. I'm like, get home. He was at the gym. He's like, do I have time for a coffee? I was like, no, get home. I'm like, we're in labor. And we didn't know it would be more than 24 hours later we'd have our daughter. But so I literally, my second phone call was to the client. I said, oh, I'm sorry, but I won't be coming to this meeting today. Oh, what's happening? I was like, oh, I'm having a baby. They're like, oh,
Like,
okay.
at the moment.
Yeah, like now. She's like, oh, no worries. We'll speak to you in 3 months. And literally, so that happened to the rest of the clients had come up to me and kind of requested time. And yeah, in 3 months, they came questioning again.
And then how did your business evolve? Like, did
Yeah.
you sit down and have this plan that I'm going to be a one-man band, I'm going to have a space, I'm going to how does your business evolve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd kind of done a little bit of a strategy for myself to, be silly not to have meant marketing. But I had originally kind of anticipated that I would be boutique and it would just be me and I would have a space, an office space.
Yep.
And I planned to do that within, I think, the first 2 years, but I did it within the first 12. So
To have a space.
Yeah, to have a space. Yeah. Because I was working from home and obviously I had an infant. So she was a good sleeper. So I was very blessed in that department and I was able to do my work for clients outside of work. And all my clients were super flexible. They knew that the job would just be done and it didn't matter when I would do it, right? Because that's, I guess, the beauty of digital marketing. It can be done at any time.
I guess that's the beauty of the whole work from home movement.
Yeah.
I guess we've learned to just do, I'm sending my vendors reports at 9:30 on random nights because that's when it suits me.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and you can schedule emails so, they go out at 8 a.m. in the morning and your client doesn't even have to know you've been working at 10:30 at night if you don't want them to. Anyway, so I'd set it kind of within 2 years and then my husband was like, nah, you can do this kind of earlier.
I want my study back.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, I want let's get you a space. I think there's legitimacy in having a shop front or an office space. And I think he's right.
Do you ever feel like that was a challenge though, that you weren't, considered or looked over because you didn't have a space? Or is it more mental?
I think it was more mental. I think
Yeah.
I wanted a physical place where I could switch off from work
Yeah.
and have a home life. Because I guess the lines between home and work were blurred when I would just be able to work
Yep.
anytime, right? That's the encroaching part of working from home.
That's
I
good and
guess.
bad,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's good and bad. So I found a space in just off Little Mallet Street. I was in a literally 14 squares or something. It was tiny.
Yep.
And I was there for about 2 and a bit years. So recarpeted the joint. I literally, when I started, I had a trestle table because because I ordered furniture,
Wow, I
but it
love
just
it.
took like 14 weeks or something to come. So I had a trestle table and one of my dining room chair tables, a printer on the floor, and my laptop.
That's business, baby.
That's it. You got to just fake it till you make it, I guess. So I had that set up, and then slowly but surely we kind of grew. So then over COVID, which for some businesses I know was decimating, but for
Mm,
digital it was
mm.
transformative. Like
Yeah, because
so
customers
many
are
people.
evolving their business. Like
Absolutely.
everyone's just got more time to think, right, what are we doing? How do
Well,
we take our business?
yeah. Well,
Where do
when
we
shop
pivot?
fronts couldn't open, online stores were just the gateway to your brand,
Yeah.
right? So people were just like, "Oh my god, I don't have a shop. I need a shop. I need an online shop. Like help me."
Yeah. Were
Um,
you building websites as well?
yeah, so we do Shopify, Squarespace. We do more the e-commerce
Yep.
side of it, particularly because we do a lot of meta advertising, and they tie in really well together in terms of the algorithm and kind of how that setup works. When we do WordPress or whatever, we refer to our mates at Pixeled, who have built our website too, and we do a lot of combined work together, which is really quite good. It's a nice relationship that we've got there, but we work together at KBB Digital, so we've had years of work of literally crafting websites together. So the team there is quite good. Um, so yeah, then we evolved over time. Took on a staff member part time, then
Who was the
slowly,
first staff member?
yeah, Tegan.
What was the like? What's the dynamic of that person?
Oh yeah, so ironically, Tegan is a young. I think she might have been 22 or 23 when I put her on. She's a little bit older than that now, but I had actually employed her for one of my clients as their marketing person. And then over COVID, the job role had minimized. They weren't utilizing her full time. So I approached the client and said, "Oh, look, can we job share her essentially?" And the client was like, "Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. It's a good outcome for her. You get to keep her, I get to keep her." And I said, "Yep, cool." But we talked through, I guess, all the scenarios. I was like, "What happens when you need her more, or I need her more? How do we negotiate that time?" And they were really quite flexible. They're a large employer in Geelong, so we're like, "Oh, look, you'll just hire us another marketing person. Completely fine. The relationship with us will continue, and we'll continue to use you as a service." So, it worked out. So, I think it only took 6 months for her to be full time with me, and then we hired another part time person who's
What's the
still part
moment when
time.
you're like, this is cool?
Yeah. I think it is when you hire staff. I think it's your first staff member because I think you go, shit, it's not just me anymore.
Yeah.
And like there's a sense of, for me at least, and I definitely know it's for you as well, but there's a sense of responsibility that comes with having staff
Hmm.
members, right? Because you're now responsible for the income of that household
Yep.
or for partial of the
Yep.
income of that
And not
household.
just the income, but them being happy
Yeah.
and you. I don't know. I guess I see it as a blessing having staff and
Yeah.
what I've been through elsewhere. I think it's just reiterated my values that staff are a luxury and it's a
Absolutely.
privilege for them to work for you, and you've just got to do everything in your power to make it rewarding and fulfilling and
Yeah.
profitable, and
Yeah.
then the business side of things and your profit. That's a secondary
Yeah,
issue.
it's a
But yeah,
separate
it's an
thing.
awesome
Yeah,
feeling. I'm
it
glad that
is.
you feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I take it so seriously. I think like this year we released or yeah, we had came up with an initiative to have your birthday off. So no one works their birthday. You get an extra annual leave day. So our first one will be Monday, which will be for this year anyway. Will be Georgie, so she'll be having her birthday and taking the day off.
Nice.
Yeah, so we try and come up with that. We like you give to donations as well. So throughout the year, we ask our team, what causes mean things to you.
Yep.
And often our clients are running initiatives like Jake Hogan. He often does a Movember thing.
Yep.
He does quite a few other ones as well, but we often support that. Yeah, so we try and create a culture, I guess, that's fun for the staff, but also, morally they enjoy working there because it aligns with their values
How
and
many
everything.
staff are you up to now?
So there's I always get this wrong, but what? 4 staff plus me.
Yep.
So 5 of us in the office, and we've got 2 subcontractors. So
Yep.
yeah.
Any remote, like Philippines sort of people?
No,
No.
no, yeah. So we often get asked that question, and it's either that one or AI, which I'll answer both now, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. Let's get into those.
Yeah. We don't use anyone overseas because I guess we market ourselves as a content marketing agency where language and narrative literally is
Everything.
the
Everything.
the fundamental reason why we're able to do what we do. I can't risk language being incorrect, right? And that's not to say like we've got staff members where English isn't their first language, but they're so far advanced in the English language, it's not a problem at all for us. So yeah, not to say I wouldn't hire someone who doesn't have English as their first language, but the work that goes into training our staff, we also take very seriously. So there's like a 3 month really intensive training period because um, I guess I would say I'm probably a bit of a control freak until someone has earned my trust.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you know,
Yeah, off you go.
they're off.
You do
You
you.
know, you
Yeah.
do you. I don't have to check in on your stuff because I know you're going to do it
Yeah.
how I want it to be done, right? And that's
Yeah.
how we maintain that high level standard. So I don't utilize anyone overseas because I would have to micromanage. It would take more time to manage that person
Yeah.
or people than it would to actually do the job myself or
Yeah.
to have the team do the job. And I kind of want to make sure I'm employing
Yep.
Australian, people in Australia, I guess.
Yep.
Now, the thing with AI, because it's a question we get asked. Yeah, we do use some AI sometimes. What I will say to small business owners is AI can be a bit of a trap. If you think you're going to get oodles of content ideas and oodles of long form content from AI, you're grossly mistaken. The amount of work that has to go into a prompt to actually get a good response, which you can actually use, is often more time consuming than creating the actual content. You can definitely use it for idea generation, like, okay,
Yeah, give me
can I
10
have,
ideas
give
of
me 10 ideas for this.
and then
Or,
you go, That's what I'm doing with
yeah.
it." Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the I would say the smart way of using it because long form content that's created by AI, it's like you can pick it,
Mm.
right? And
I
Google's
agree.
getting smarter at picking it up too. So
Yeah.
that is only ever going to evolve and it will just filter out all the stuff that's been published by AI.
Do you reckon?
Yep, absolutely. And you won't get results for that.
So
So
with our Google, so one of the main things that we're doing, as I said, trying to use content across all the
mhm,
different platforms, but is like Google Posts, like
yeah,
with a photo and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll use
absolutely.
ChatGPT to sometimes come up with the ideas, but like I find customers when I write the post myself, people can tell number one because it's got spelling errors and um,
It's humanized, isn't
but
it?
yeah, I get picked up all the time. So shout out to everyone that constantly is correcting me in my theirs and theirs. But I think like people can tell when it's written from the heart, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
absolutely.
AI will evolve. Like it's a no brainer that it's smarter than us. It will evolve, but I feel my customers know me
Yep,
and know my
absolutely.
tone and
Yep.
know. Yeah, they can sense it.
Yeah,
And
and
it
look,
it does perform, so it's funny you say that about Google, like, recognizing it, and it'd be interesting to see what the penalties are for it, but I feel like, maybe we could talk about shadow bans and all that, whatever
mm,
that is, but, I feel like my reach and stuff is better when it's written from the heart.
absolutely, because your audience expects you to say something that you're saying, right?
Yeah,
When you put a prompt into AI, um, you're feeding it information, right? But it's not a human. It still doesn't understand, okay, how should this be used? Or is this too funny in this sentence? Or if I use alliteration too much? Or whatever the dynamic of the content is. So like the prompts that we put in when we do use it to kind of so we might use it in blog writing as an example. We'll write the first blog, but then we'll ask Google to kind of write 50% of it as a variant so that we can use that for link building, right? So it's not a duplicate
yep,
content. So it does save us a little bit of time there. But again, to write the actual blog is still a 3 to kind of 4 hour exercise. That's not a 15-minute kind of job that
yep,
you just plug out. But the prompts that we put in, even for that, are like this big,
yep,
like I mean, I'm doing that, but for those that
yep,
won't watch this, it's like 30 centimeters,
yep,
like it's detailed. It's who's the target market? What are we trying to say? What position are we coming from? You've got to fact check that information then when it spits it out. You've got to correct if you haven't done the prompt, which like my number one thing for small businesses is make sure you tell it to use Australian English. Like we're S's, not Z's.
Zeds, yep,
It's the number one. I read a piece of content. I'm like, AI.
yep,
I know it. Like I can just pick it straight away. Um, yeah, the amount of content you've got to put into it to actually get an outcome, and then you've got to do all the things like fact checking, spell out, grammar.
I feel like on LinkedIn is one place I notice people using it a lot and
Yeah,
on blogs and that sort of stuff, and then you look at their engagement on it, and it's
yeah,
like
nothing.
they might have
Yeah,
whatever connections, but there's like 1 or 2
yeah.
likes, and it's like, wow, that's
Again,
probably hurting
yeah,
more than
absolutely. That's people trying to just
is
create
an
content
is
because
there an
they've got it.
algorithm on LinkedIn?
Yeah, there's an algorithm on LinkedIn. Yeah, there's an algorithm on them all, but, yeah, that's people trying to create content
Mm.
over quality,
Yeah, for the sake
right?
of content.
Just for
Yeah.
the sake of it. Just yeah, ease up. Doesn't
Yeah.
need you don't need to be yeah, just worry the horses. It doesn't need to be every week. If you miss a week of posting,
Yeah.
no one's gonna be like, "Where was the 7 posts of
Yeah.
value?" You know, like, because obviously it's not you're not
Yeah.
creating, it's not there.
Lastly, before you come on, I worded you up. I thought maybe you could give some advice for like, yeah, women who are considering starting a business or whatever. Any advice for?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a mum now. Some beautiful girls.
Yeah, look, we are a strong woman workforce. That was hard to say. So I think the 5 of us in the office are female and our 2 subbies are male. Not that that matters. Like I'd hire a male in the office as well. We just have mainly had mums, to be
Yep.
honest. Only one of us isn't a mum. I find mums to be really good multitaskers and they just get the
It's a
job
given.
done.
It's a
Yeah.
given. Yeah.
They've got limited time. So
No,
the
get
time
shit
that they
done.
do
Yeah.
have, they make it work really well.
Yep.
Yeah, look, for women looking for work in the workforce and not looking to start their own business, but just, get in there, just value yourself. All right. I've never had a problem with pay disparity. I've never had a problem with, um, I guess, not having a high, not ranking job, but an executive level job, um, because I've put myself out there for the opportunity. If you don't do that, you're not going to have the opportunity to do those things. You need to really put yourself out there. And I get sometimes it can be intimidating, but if you've done the work, and you'll know, right? If you've done the work to get there, then you're as much appropriate for that opportunity as anyone else,
Yeah.
right? So you do have to back yourself. And look, it's kind of it's funny of me to say that because I said my husband backed me, right? So he gave me the confidence to do that. But he also didn't,
He saw
sign the
you,
paperwork. He didn't do
but
the
he saw
work.
you
He
do.
didn't.
He saw you do the work.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, just believe in yourself and do the hard work and good things will come, right? You've got to be in the headspace to have an opportunity to get an opportunity. Um, and just keep working to something, set a goal and work towards getting that.
Yeah.
Because decisions are hard any way you do them. You might as well be working to something you want rather than not kind of having one out there. And then as a business owner, it's really interesting because there are a lot of really intelligent, really great businesses run by women. Um, I don't think they need a pep talk up. I think we're out there, and people just,
Would it
I guess,
be
seem to
maybe
be.
just to connect with other people, like not to
Yeah.
like you said, put yourself out there and connect with other women? Like, do you do BNI or anything like that?
No, so B&I, for me,
It's not a fit.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
not
not
for
for me
me.
either. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but I get it, right?
Mm.
I totally get it. And for some brands and people, it is how they feel comfortable interacting because it's a really short, like group of people or a small group of people, so
yeah,
it's not a problem. Um, but yeah, look for other women in business, I think just understand who your target market is, really nut it out what you're wanting to achieve, set up a plan for doing that, and then tick those small jobs off. It's
one
just
foot in
a
front of the
daily
other.
grind, but
Love
you'll
it.
get there.
Last one. Predictions for 2024 in the real estate market. Question
Oh.
without notice. Just give me anything.
Yeah, interesting. So, like, I know but my husband's got his finger on the pulse when it comes to real estate. He's forever saying, "Ask Ricky about this property, ask," and I probably shield you, honestly, from at least
I
maybe
can
4 or
imagine.
5 inquiries a
I
month just
can.
on random
Yeah, no, I
stuff.
get it.
And we're looking for a home for feed at the moment. So if you've got some commercial properties out
Yep.
there, let us know. I'd really like to give it a home space. But yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. There was a period in time where every house in our street was basically for sale, and now there's like one, and we're in East Geelong, so it's not it's not Newtown or anything like that, but it is a really nice area. And the houses are I would say fetching a reasonable price there, but there just doesn't seem to be the
Supplies dried up a bit, you reckon?
supply. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that relative to what you're
Oh,
experiencing?
that might be yellow car syndrome, I think, like, or confirmation bias. Like,
Yeah.
if you, for whatever reason, you've started to form that opinion, but I think the data's starting to show the opposite, that there's
Yeah.
a lot more supply coming on. So it's going to be an interesting 2024, but yeah,
Yeah.
fun regardless.
What do you think about land?
Oh, it's
With
nowhere.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to move. Actually, having said that, obviously late last year, we employed Alex Selway, who was the land sales manager at Armstrong Real Estate. And
Mm.
before that, he worked for some of the bigger developers and that. He's a weapon in that space. He's really good at putting deals together. But you can't just put a block of land online anymore and hope it's going to sell. Like you need to
Mm.
be in contact with the builders and putting deals together and that sort of stuff. But yeah, interesting space, mate. Thanks so much for coming
Yeah,
on the
thanks for
show.
having me.
Obviously, and if anyone's obviously interested, what's the best place to find you?
Yes, they can find us online at feeddigital.com.au.
Lucky they can find you online. But yeah, mate, again, thanks so much for coming through. And obviously
Thanks.
are you on LinkedIn much?
A little bit.
Yep. Obviously, if yeah, women or anyone in general is looking for advice, how to start a business and all that sort of thing, obviously Marie's your girl. But more importantly, from a digital perspective, like I said, our business personally can't thank you enough for what
Oh, thanks.
we've done. Because like I said, we're from zero to the number one rated business on Google in 3 years. Like it speaks for itself. And some of these businesses have been around for 10, 15 years. So now we're wrapped with your work, mate.
Oh, thank
Lucky I'm
you.
getting discounts, but so yeah, thanks heaps.
All right, thanks.
Awesome.
See ya.